Hi everyone. So I am speaking to Bryan today. I have just seen that he has requested to join. Hey!
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm so great. Melting in this London heat, but I can't complain.
I know, luckily we've got the air conditioning. I'm in my office today, so it's actually borderline a little bit cold. But I hate to be that person to moan.
I know. Well, luckily enough, I do have one very oddly cool room in my house, so I'm going to keep it that way.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Bryan. Could you tell everyone a little bit then about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hi, I'm Brian. I am a freelance grooming and beauty editor. I work for a whole bunch of different publications, but my main is Byrdie and Birdie Boy, which is US based, but quite global in their audience.
Yeah, definitely. I personally love reading it. So then can you tell us a little bit about your job and then how you got into the role that you're in now?
Sure. Well, that's the thing. I started with them sort of just doing ingredients pieces, and it turned into, I think, just more exploratory articles, which is one thing I love about Birdie. You know, it's so far from superficial. They really do have their own voice, and they allow the voices of their writers and the experience of their writers to really, zhuzh up the content. But then they're not afraid to take on sort of taboo subjects, which I think is nice because that's where the beauty industry is headed. You know, it's getting much more personal. I've always had a fascination for sort of the beauty realm. You know, I grew up with my mother's Avon samples. I love how transformative it is, how one product, whether it's makeup, skincare, even fragrance, it helps form a mood. It can form an identity. Um, and so I think that led me to start working for my first job in beauty was with La Mer when I was in college. I was basically this little university student, selling this $1,000 skin cream to older, rich clientele, which was great because they were kind of, the novelty wore on them. And then after university, I worked for Black Book magazine for a few years in New York as a beauty and grooming editor. And since then, I moved here 9 years ago, and I've been sort of a free agent in the beauty world. And I love it. It's given me an opportunity to really explore my love and fascination for this world and see how it really has more to do with the people than the products.
Definitely. And like you were saying, that I think beauty now is definitely more than just beauty. There's so
Sure.
much like wellness involved in it, and yeah, it's definitely more about how it makes you feel on the inside, just as well as outside. So I totally agree there. So you mentioned obviously, so you're born and bred in the US. So how is it then working in the same industry but across so many different countries? Do you feel that the type of content differs from place to place, or do you think everyone sort of has this beauty's moving in the same way across the board?
Well, I think at one time it did. You know, there were separate markets and brands that weren't available everywhere. And the industry itself was very regional. But I think over the past few years, thanks to social media and this globalization, the beauty industry is sort of more than an industry. It's a community.
Yeah.
It's a global community made of countless sub-communities, and it transcends country, language, culture. I'm sure there are sort of subtle differences I consider, when writing for a particular market, but I feel this level of freedom in my job, knowing that, no matter where you are in the world, the excitement and enthusiasm for the industry are very similar. Plus, trends refuse to be confined. Look at K-beauty. So many South Korean brands made their way into the US and Europe,
Yeah.
which completely influenced domestic brands as well. So I think beauty being a community, it transcends all of that. And it is a global market, it is a global community, and it's something that I think will only get bigger and broader.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, taking inspiration and everyone sort of sharing their own little beauty secrets all around is definitely what makes it so popular.
Sure.
Um, so then speaking about trends, what are some of the trends that you have seen in 2021, especially coming out of lockdown? Do you think that that's had a big effect on the beauty industry and the way people view beauty?
Oh, so much. I mean, I think first and foremost, there's this massive shift toward high performance products and devices. We had to, make do for so long without spa appointments and professional treatments. And I think that turned us on to sort of this ingredients-led approach to skincare. Suddenly, brands are coming out with more vitamin C-driven products, retinol, glycolic acid, lactic acid. People want more bang for their buck in a sense, you know, and then there's this huge uptick in skincare devices from LED light masks to, you know, these Foreo contraptions. People want this experience at home. And I think it was sort of a long time coming, you know, because skincare for a while it was growing, but there was still that divide between professional treatment and, you know, what you're able to achieve at home. And people wanted that sort of empowerment. I think that, you know, going forward, there'll be this much higher professional standard for consumer products. And another thing that I think came out of it, you know, because of last summer's huge surge in the Black Lives Matter movement, there's been this massive effort to promote Black and POC-owned brands. I think it was way overdue, and I hope it continues because it's really giving some, you know, visionary entrepreneurs this opportunity to flourish. And I found some amazing brands that honestly, because of the way they were misrepresented, I just never got to experience them. And I think to touch on what you said before, how beauty and, you know, wellness are kind of intermingling, I think we're just using more products than we ever had.
Yeah.
Lockdowns gave us more time for self-care, and a lot of brands wove this into their approach on social media and marketing strategy. And so now there's this mental, you know, this mentality of treat yourself, I don't think is going anywhere.
No, definitely not. And I think everyone needed to treat themselves in lockdown. It was the only thing getting us
And still must.
yeah. Cool. So then another sort of part of, you write there, but you also help with a lot of brands, and you help them sort of work out who they are and what they want to be in the market. Like we say, you know, there are so many brands out there now. So having that voice and being heard in the different markets is such a big part of it now. So how can brands find their tone and voice and sort of be heard? And do you have any tips for maybe new businesses who are starting out who want to sort of find their identity?
Sure. I find myself attracted to brands with a strong sense of purpose and who use real language rather than this contrived marketing speech. I mean, please term game changer, because how many times can the game be changed? You know, I would say, first and foremost, know who you are as a brand and approach your audience with intelligence and respect. Be proud of who you are as a brand, know your limits, and let the consumer in on a bit of that magic by engaging them with authenticity. I think content that aims to educate is always really well received, and Q&A type events with real people and brand experts discussing real issues rather than influencers and celebrities, I think that resounds with people a lot deeper. As for a brand that needs help finding an identity, why not try on a few first? You know, launch with the bare basics and start engaging people to see what they think. Audiences love to be in on the brands that they love. And as most people, I think, are more than willing to opine, you know, give their opinions on the products that they love, there's this immense passion to express love and devotion to products that, you know, you consider life-changing. I think that's a golden opportunity for brands. And I think it's also the future, this sort of brand audience collaboration, because you don't have this disconnected form of advertising. You're not just looking at an advert in a magazine as you're scrolling. You're actually interacting with brands. And I think that needs to be reciprocated going forward.
Yeah, definitely. Especially for us, that as a PR company in lockdown, we found that people were looking more for tips from people from the brands. They, like, you know, you can push the products, but people were saying, we want comments from these people. We want to know who they are and what they're saying. So definitely, like you say, having that in-house sort of brand and story behind you just gives it more personality, 100%.
That's the thing. During lockdown, you know, you'd sign on to Instagram and, you know, in place of stories, you would just see, you know, just a huge amount of lives going on because so many brands are having these reach out, you know, events, which when you think about it, why did you need a lockdown to initiate that? Yes, more people were home and maybe you couldn't have it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But at the same time, there's plenty of time before and after where people are scrolling on their phones passively when in fact they could be actively engaging with a brand. So I think it was a really good opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I think it made everyone just rethink a little bit, didn't it? So then, can you give any examples of brands who you think have got a great tone of voice and have really sort of established themselves and what it is that works so well for them?
Oh, yes. That's one thing, because I sort of work behind the scenes a lot. When I love a brand, like it is a solid union there. One brand I love is Paula's Choice. I have loved Paula of Paula's Choice for years. I used to buy her gigantic phone book size cosmetics cot books. I love her for the industry. She is I want to say she's cutthroat. It sounds so severe. She knows her business, and she knows exactly, she brings in a massive amount of intellect into it, and knowledge and education. And the brand that's resulted from that, it's no nonsense. This always educational approach. You know exactly what you're getting, and you learn about each ingredient and each product simply by browsing it. You know, and there's none of this hyped up marketing language. I also love The Ordinary and Decium in general. I love how The Ordinary has democratized beauty.
Yeah.
It gives people access to these sort of once exclusive ingredients. And because it's ingredient driven, you're focused to educate yourself on product and skincare in general, because you have to in order to understand why you need a certain ingredient.
Yeah.
I love Dermalogica. I just did a piece on them actually, and I love their products, but I love them even more now because their history is so education focused. And I've actually been turned away from buying without trying at Dermalogica, and I really respect a brand that does that.
Yeah.
I love Low Skin Beauty. They're kind of new to the UK. They're great because they're super high performance products. I like how they balance being clinical but also very approachable.
Yeah.
And it's quality. I mean, it's ingredient driven, and I love that about it. And Charlotte Tilbury, I mean, she is her brand. You know,
Yeah, she's the face.
Great. It's bright and bold and gold, just like her. All the brand copy, it's funny because I think people would use it as an example of great marketing, but I think it's the opposite of marketing. It's pure authenticity, and I love that. I mean, it makes me just want to buy products because of what she calls them. You know, pillow talk. I love her enthusiasm.
You hear her saying the things when you read anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, it puts you in a mood. Like, even if you just read it in an advert or you see someone post about it and you see a bit of their copy, it's in all caps, it's bright gold, it puts you in a mood. And if that doesn't say brand, I don't know what does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. There's some really good ones there that I've not actually thought about. But yeah, like you say, they just stick with you, don't they? So then lastly, what would be sort of any key things that you would say to consider sort of to make each brand unique, to sort of give them their edge?
Sure. At the core, every brand is unique because it's born of a unique idea. But, you know, to bring that out, I say go for the facts and be open about them to your audience. You know, you can either tell your audience what they want to hear to garner, you know, likes and clout, but that really only lasts so long. Or you can stay true to who you are. For me, nothing shines brighter than authenticity. So before deciding how to market your product, ask who it is, personify it. Ask what your product believes. Ask where they want to be in 5 years. Ask who they are now. Don't cater to what you think audiences want. I mean, obviously, in starting a new brand, you'll always sort of have that competitive landscape survey and find the hole where, you know, you could fill in. And obviously, that's great from a strategic point of view. But when it comes to turning that into something, you know, quality marketing copy, I say, like, again, make your audience part of it. Engage with them on an intelligent level and learn from that. And then you can expand your brand in a very natural, organic way.
Perfect. Well, that was lovely and very good. So yes, we will definitely be passing those hints and tips onto our friends and families. But that was everything. That was all the questions I had to ask you today. But thank you so much for joining us. It's been absolutely lovely speaking to you. And I'm sure we'll be again soon.
Awesome. Have a wonderful afternoon and stay cool in your AC.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.